In your working folder, you will find a document called rocketman.ai. Go ahead and open that thing up. With apologies to Sir Elton John, I'm going to use Rocketman as this theme. Did you know, in our Pursuing Our Kitchen Sink chapter here, that Illustrator has the ability to do animations? It does, in conjunction with Flash. Now, you don't have to have Flash. It's all built in. But I want my Rocketman to take off. I want the rocket to go up into the air. So that is our goal, and we are going to be using Adobe Illustrator to make it happen, and we will be using blend options. So this is a twofer. If we come over here, let me show you this. We did this actually earlier. I touched on it anyway. I'm going to draw a star over here, and let me go ahead and give that a color. And let's draw a different shape, like maybe a polygon over here. And let's give that a color. Different. Select them both, and then come up to the word object and go down to blend and say make. Now, the purpose of blend is to take two vector objects and slowly morph one into the other, assuming they're different. So we could come up to object, now again, we still have it selected, and go into our blend options. Now we could tell it, for example, how many specified steps, smooth color, or specified distance. If we stay on steps, that's 36. That's a lot. Let's just say 6, and we could turn on the preview, and you can see what it's doing. It's slowly taking one vector shape and converting it into the other. That's what blend does. Let me go ahead and get out of here, and let's go ahead and get out of there and get back to Rocketman. Now I need my artboard smaller because I need to do some things outside the artboard. So I'm going to hold down the Control key, that's the Command key on a Mac and Control on Windows, and the minus on my 10 key to give myself a little breathing room. I want the rocket to go off the screen, like this is the sky and it's kind of going out of sight. So using blending mode, I need a copy of this guy. I'm going to hold the Alt key, that's the Option key on a Mac, Alt in Windows, and drag him up to, about here. As a matter of fact, let me do this. Let me bring that down. And let's go ahead and take him even further. So now I'm just going to hold the Shift key down so I keep it straight. Okay, and I'll tell you what. I'm going to hold the Alt key down, Option key on a Mac, Alt key in Windows, as I go to a corner and the Shift key and make him a little bit smaller. So kind of as he's rising, maybe he's going further away, something like that. So we got our two, select them, go up to the word object and go down to blend and select make. Now let's see what we got here. Let's go back to object and go into blend and go into blend options. Now we've got 36 steps. Actually, that's the number I want. You're normally running animation in Flash at about 12 frames a second. So if I want this guy to last for 3 seconds, 12 times 3 is 36. I am excellent at math. So actually that's fine. We don't need to change anything else. Just click OK. Now, in order for this to work, we're going to have to do a couple of things. Let me bring layers out because we'll be dealing with them too. Let me bring this down like this. Now first, select it, go back up to the word object and go into blend and tell the computer you want to expand it. I want those items. I don't want them part of a blend. I want the individual rocket ships. That'll take a second, but there they all are. Now, if you remember the chapter on layers, and when we went into layers, we had an option up here, and the option was release to layers in sequence. It might make more sense now that we're going to do it here. They are still in these groups. And you can see right here. Now the first thing we need to do is get them out of the group. So we're going to say ungroup. That's important. Now you've got groups of groups. There's all the rocket ships. Make sure you have layer 1 selected. Come up here and say release to layers in a sequence. Watch what happens. Well, they become layers, and this looks like a big frosty snow cone. Well, what are those colors? Those are the colors of the layers themselves right here. They're fine, but they're now in separate layers. We can go to the next step. Go into File on your pull-down menu and go down to Export. In Export, let's give it, well, Rocketman's fine, but not a PNG. SWF. I'm going to save it in the student files for this particular chapter. You can save it anywhere you want, obviously. I'm going to click Export. Your options. Number 1, all layers to SWF frames. Now, I've done this before, so it remembers the last thing I did. The default is AI file to SWF file. It's not going to work. It's got to be this one right here. And I would recommend clip to artboard size. Why? Because if you don't turn that on, it's going to clip your artboard to fit the artwork itself. It's going to be this long, skinny tube. And I want the artboard. Maybe I've got a sunset or something going on there too, and I want to keep the whole thing. The rest, leave alone. Click OK. Now let me come over here. I've got it in my student file. And let me bring this over. I have another screen. And there it is. If you double click on it, watch what happens. Rocket Man. We should have moved it up just a little bit more, and we still have that, but that's all right. You get the idea. We could loop it, if you want to loop it and see go round and around, and play it again if you want to. That's an artifact at the top. That'll go away the next time you use it. But basically, you're doing animation. It is rudimentary. I won't say it's crude. It's actually pretty cool. But it's not like, programs like Maya or like Studio 3D Max or something like that. They're different. Those are different kinds of programs. But you know what? If you're looking to do some simple animation, why not look to Adobe Illustrator?